Hello and welcome to this session on Arts Award and Artsmark. And we're looking at the benefits of delivering both in your school setting, how they complement each other. I'm delighted today to be joined by Bev Briggs from the Forge in County Durham and Laurie Stevens from Hilton Primary School. And they're both going to be sharing their expertise and what they've been doing in their settings with us this afternoon. And so this will be a presentation from all three of us focused on Artsmark and Arts Award. And so without further ado, I will hand over to Bev, who's going to talk through Artsmark with us.
Thanks very much, Jane. I'll just share a presentation with everyone. If you could just give me a thumbs up if you can see that. Fantastic. So I thought it might be useful if I gave you an overview about Artsmark and how it sits with Arts Award, because I know some of you, may really know lots about Artsmark, maybe Artsmark schools, but others, may not have come across Artsmark before. So this should give you a good sense of what Artsmark is and what it's trying to achieve. So it's, as you can see from this slide, it's a quality standard. It's Arts Council England's quality standard for schools and for education settings. So it's not an award for young people, it's an award for schools, and it recognises high quality arts and cultural practice in those schools. It's more than an award, though. It is a framework to help you deliver and develop and deliver arts and cultural curricula in school. So it really is a kind of framework for good practice in school, and will support you to develop really interesting programs, interesting developments in school. And it's looking for systemic change in school to put creativity at the heart of the curriculum. And we're delighted to report that here in the North East, 24% of our schools are Artsmark schools, and that's been constant since this new version of Artsmark came in 2015. So we've steadily been around that mark. So well done to everybody in the North East for getting such a high percentage of schools affiliated to Artsmark. I thought it might be useful because Artsmark Award and Arts Award sound very similar, and I know there's been confusion in the past for schools. So this slide is really just to give you a sense of the difference between the two, and I think Jane may cover this as well when she's talking about Arts Award. So Artsmark is the award programme for primary, secondary, special schools, PRUs, youth offending teams, sixth form colleges. The award is for the institution. And it's awarded at silver, gold and platinum level. Separately, another Arts Council programme are Arts Awards, and they are the arts qualifications for children and young people, and they're made to the individuals. So children and young people will be awarded an arts award at Discover, Explore, bronze, silver or gold level. And I think probably the confusion can arise because many settings deliver arts awards and Artsmark at the same time. And I'm certainly here to advocate for both, because when you are registered for Artsmark and developing an Artsmark programme, Arts Awards are a fantastic part of that programme. They really can enrich what you're doing, particularly around how you're engaging children and young people. And Laurie, I know, in her school, Hilton, they run both Artsmark and Arts Awards. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what she has to say about both of those and how they work together later on. Again, this is just to kind of give you an indication of the levels for Artsmark. So schools and settings are awarded at silver, gold and platinum. And there's a sort of clear progression through. I think if you look to the sort of platinum end, we would expect platinum schools to be really influencing other schools, advocating for the arts across many settings, across culture and cultural organisations as well as educational settings, making a difference outside of their own school. A gold school is very established in their practice, have great examples of best practice, really embedded, and you can demonstrate impact over time. And a silver school has to do all of those things and produce tangible results, but perhaps isn't. It's perhaps not quite so established, and certainly silver schools may not be out influencing the rest of the sector yet. So they're the kind of thumbnails, if you like, of the awards themselves. Schools don't ask to be awarded a particular level. You are evaluated on the kind of content of your Artsmark journey. But the great thing is it's really very easy to document your Artsmark journey. There are no exams, there are no kind of visits from an assessor. It's really down to the school to evidence that journey and evidence your practice as you are developing it. And this just gives you an overview. It's a map, a lovely map of how schools and settings complete Artsmark. So you register online, you attend development training, which is often mostly online now. It used to be face-to-face. Following that, you would write up your Artsmark plan, and that's what we call the statement of commitment. It's a plan for what you want to do over the sort of 2 years of your Artsmark journey. And then you go on to develop work in school, to evaluate it as you go. And at the very end, you write up something called a statement of impact, which is a reflective document where you're thinking back over what you have achieved as a school. And critically, you're thinking about the impact that it's made on children, on young people, on your staff, on your senior leadership team, and on the sort of strategic developments at school or your curriculum development. So that's what you produce at the end, and you submit your statement of impact to Arts Council, and those two documents are read by assessors, and then they evaluate the kind of quality, if you like, of your journey. An award is conferred upon you, and there are great celebrations, and we promote those awards and share those good news stories across social media. Just so that you're really clear about how light this is in terms of documentation, there are only 2 formal submissions. There's a statement of commitment, that's the plan at the start of your journey, and a statement of impact, which is the evaluation at the end of your journey. But they're meant to be informed by Arts Council's guidelines for good practice, which are the Artsmark Award criteria, the Arts Council's quality principles, which again are guiding principles for any work with children and young people, and then also aligned to that, your plans and your evaluations should be seen through the lens of your settings improvement plan, your school development plan. So those things together mean that Artsmark is kind of fully embedded in school. It doesn't sit in a department outside of the school. It's at the heart of the school, and it should be driving your, and part of your settings improvement plan. And this slide, I think, is useful for those of you who are thinking about Artsmark and wondering what it is that you're going to be evaluated against. These are the key evaluation criteria. And you can see it says used at assessment on this slide. So we're thinking about values and ethos, equality, diversity and inclusion, leadership, children and young people, curriculum design, range of offer, CPD and cultural collaborations. So a perfect Artsmark journey. I'll randomly go through some of these. Cultural collaborations, you will be working with an arts partner, an arts organisation, a museum, a gallery. You will be involved, or they will be involved somewhere in this process, and you will be having kind of strategic conversations with that arts partner about how you can improve outcomes for children and young people, how you can create cultural and creative opportunities. CPD is a really key part of this as well. If you're working with arts partners and artists, we would expect you to avail yourself of their expertise and get them to deliver some CPD in school for you. Identify what it is that teachers lack confidence in, and bring that CPD in as part of your Artsmark plan. So CPD is a really key part, because we're thinking Artsmark is about developing schools, staff and leadership as much as it is about outcomes for children and young people. And we know that it's by developing leadership, developing new cultural leaders, developing staff skills, that those outcomes will be improved and children have more opportunity to engage in really high quality arts. And other things that you might kind of be anxious about, or be not quite sure how this would manifest. Equality, diversity and inclusion is asking you to think about the children and young people in your school and your wider community, and think about how they're being represented. And if they're being represented, does your curriculum represent those young people in your school? Are disabled artists represented? Are neurodiverse artists represented and spoken about? And it's just making sure that there is a really healthy mix of opportunities and kind of examples of artists and artwork that your young children have access to, so that they can see that the arts are for them and people like them do art. So you can see that these are really key for helping you plan an Artsmark journey. And certainly Arts Awards themselves deliver kind of lots of these, really. Often schools can use Arts Awards for thinking around equality, diversity and inclusion, and certainly about engaging children and young people and pupil voice and student voice, because Arts Awards, as Jane will tell you, are kind of fairly autonomous for young people. They're really great qualifications to have alongside Artsmark. The other area that you need to look at if you're thinking about Artsmark are the Arts Council's quality principles. Schools mainly love the quality principles because they're such common sense things, and teachers do them every day in the classroom. I think we've worked with schools for a long time on Artsmark, and I know that they manage these really effectively. Possibly the one that schools might stumble on sometimes is the quality principle that says actively involving children and young people. And the word actively there is the key word, because in an ideal scenario, you would be engaging children in the planning stage of some of your arts programs, as well as in the evaluation stage. That sort of pupil voice would be foregrounded. So rather than bringing artists in and who deliver to children, you might be consulting with children in the first place, or young people in the first place, and asking for them for their opinions about what they would like to do. Even if that choice is a limited choice to start off with. Not all schools have the time and capacity to really canvass effective youth voice, but make steps towards that, because that's really important, because then that helps with ownership, belonging and ownership, and things being positive and inclusive for your young people. And again, Arts Awards, I know, deliver against the quality principles because of the nature of Arts Awards. They tick the box for enabling personal progression. They tick the box for developing belonging and ownership, because in key parts of Arts Awards, children are pursuing things that are of specific interest to them. So they really can have agency and autonomy over kind of what they're looking at. And this sort of is a really nice visual aid to see all of the assessment criteria together. I hate the phrase assessment criteria because it sounds a little bit damning, because actually these are about good practice. And certainly, the Forge is an arts organisation. We think about these ourselves when we're developing projects with schools. We think about all of the quality principles to make sure that we're not coming in, parachuting in and delivering things to children and young people, but trying to co-create with children and young people and with other people, educators who work with children and young people. So if you like, it's blending these things together means that you should be delivering really high quality, hard-hitting and impactful programs in school. And it's about us all working together in a kind of multi-agency approach. Schools do Artsmark because they want to work with arts organisations, And we want to work with schools on Artsmark, because we know that by working together, we create much better outcomes for children and young people. And basically, that's what Artsmark is about. To reiterate, the great thing about Artsmark is, you have joyful arts activities that you will do in school and pursue in school, but there really are just two documents that you need to complete for Artsmark. The first one, the statement of commitment, marks the start of your journey, and it's a plan, a plan for what you want to achieve, which is aligned to your school improvement plan. And at the end of your journey, there's a statement of impact, which is your reflective review of all the things that you've done and the impacts that they've had. And these are really great, because then in an ideal world, you'd share the findings of what you've learned on your journey with the Arts Council and with other Artsmark schools, and then you'd come back into the fold and begin Artsmark again, and build on the work that you've already done, sort of sharing best practice and getting even better at developing creativity across the curriculum and bringing in cultural opportunities for children and young people and for your staff. And schools are assessed, schools and settings, how are schools and settings assessed? They're assessed on those two documents, and they are measured against the Artsmark criteria that I showed you earlier, which is around CPD and leadership and range of offer, and also the Arts Council's quality principles, which are around excellence and innovation, authenticity, actively involving children and young people. And these are the sort of lenses through which assessors will look at the work that you've done, and then they will assess you at silver, gold or platinum level at the end of that journey. And we think the award is terrific. Schools are rightly proud of their awards, but it's the process that is really important. The reflection and the thoughtfulness and the strategic planning is the best part of Artsmark, because that's where the changes are and that's where the learning is. And it's great that you get an award at the end of it, and and we love to share good news stories about awards, but it really is about the sort of formative, reflective process, the formative learning that goes on through Artsmark, which seems to make such a difference to schools. And the people who can help you with your journey, well, currently at the Forge, we're an Arts Council national portfolio, and we're already an Artsmark partner. We also deliver Artsmark with Culture Bridge North East at the moment. Other Artsmark partners in the region can also help you. So there are lists of Artsmark partners on Culture Bridge North East website. You can find out more about Artsmark partners through the Arts Council's website pages, and there will be within the region lots and lots of organisations who would be keen to work with you to help you develop your Artsmark journey, and working collaboratively, co-creating things with arts and cultural partners is easily a really exciting thing to be doing for your Artsmark journey, and will add value to that journey as well. And this is really come to the end of my overview of Artsmark. To find out more, that's the Artsmark's website, and everything that I've spoken about will be on there. The templates for statements of commitment and statements of impact, if you wanted to have a look at that. And I would just finish by saying, that we are an arts and education agency, the Forge. We're based in Stanley in County Durham, and we love working with Artsmark schools. We deliver arts programs with schools, but we would always choose to work with Artsmark schools because we know that they're dedicated and take the arts seriously. And we know that if we put artists in Artsmark schools, that school will take every opportunity to learn from the artist, to drive some CPD out of it, to really kind of cascade the learning across the school. So Artsmark schools have a really good reputation amongst the cultural sector. We want to work with Artsmark schools. You do things really well, and you also understand, because of Artsmark, you really understand the Arts Council's ambitions for children and young people, for creating quality cultural education for children and young people. So I cannot advocate for Artsmark enough. If you're not an Artsmark school, please join. And I will hand over now I think to Jane first.
Thank you so much for that, Bev. That was really clear and thorough and interesting to hear about the detail of Artsmark and the benefits that you see that it brings to schools. So thank you so much for that. I'm going to talk through a bit about Arts Award, although Bev's done quite a lot of my job for me, so that's fantastic. No, thank you, Bev, it was great. Making the links between them there, which is really wonderful. So Arts Award, some of you may, I'm going to have to start again. Okay, so I'm just bringing up my presentation and I'll just get it onto the slideshow. So some of you may have heard about Arts Award, others might not. So I am going to go through what it is kind of from the beginning. And this is what we'll look at through this presentation. So what is Arts Award? What's involved? Why is it valuable? What other people say? We'll talk a bit about Arts Award partners and then look at how to get started with it. So to start with, there's just some quotes from different settings. So Arts Award, as Bev mentioned earlier, is a set of qualifications for children and young people up to the age of 25. And it can be delivered and is delivered in lots of different settings. So this is a quote from one of the schools who deliver it. And then we have the next slide. So arts and cultural organisations deliver it. So that's obviously quite varied. That might be gallery settings, museums, theatres, music organisations, just lots and lots of varied organisations that deliver it with their children and young people. And then in youth and community organisations as well. So there's a really diverse range of settings and how Arts Award can be delivered, but there's some really nice quotes and feedback from those organisations about it. So as I mentioned, it is a set of qualifications and it's looking at children and young people developing as artists, developing their art form, knowledge and understanding, their art skills, and particularly at bronze, silver and gold, becoming arts leaders. And it goes across all art forms. So it's not just about drawing and painting. So it's not it's not a visual art award. It is the arts encompassing all those different things. So it's at 5 levels. So the Discover is an introductory award, and then Explore is an entry level 3, Bronze is a level 1, Silver is a level 2, and Gold is a level 3 qualification, and that has UCAS points attached to it. Although don't get too hung up on that, because it's not just for young people who might want to go to university. Certainly in my experience, I've delivered gold with young people who've done their degrees and they want some real hands-on, real life experience, and they want to build their professional arts portfolios. So I always think that's a good way to think about gold. And it's open to all young people aged 25 and under. And if you're working alongside any children and young people with additional needs, you can completely use the communication tools that you would always use with them. It's not about writing a thesis. It's very much about actively collecting evidence throughout the journey that they're going on. And you will have children and young people starting at different levels, and that's okay, because they're starting at different points in their Arts Award journey, but they could all still achieve a bronze or a silver, or whichever level it is that you're going to be looking at with them. And now it doesn't want to move on again. So, benefits. Arts Award does contribute to Ofsted's spiritual, moral, social and cultural development. It can be used to develop cultural capital. As we've seen with Bev's presentation, it works really well alongside schools who are going for Artsmark, because they work really well together. It is about pupil voice, and it is about their voices coming through in the arts logs or the arts portfolios that they deliver. So what they do kind of from Discover up to Gold, although obviously in quite different kind of breadth and depth, is they need to actively take part in arts activities. And, you know, for the sort of introductory levels, it might be that that's some one-off things, or it might be over a much longer period of time. But for like particularly silver and gold, it's definitely about that being over a period of time, so that they can really reflect on their development. They find out about artists and how artists become artists and what they do and the different pathways to get there. And they find out about arts organisations and all the different roles that are involved and all the different ways that they work. They attend and they review arts events. They research careers and opportunities, and then in silver and gold, they plan and lead their own arts projects. And it's really about developing those skills. So there are the art skills that they're looking at, but also those transferable skills. So like communication skills, you know, time management, organizational skills. And as they go, they're reflecting on their progress and they're recording and evidencing that journey. And that's the way that they record their journey is really flexible. So if you are doing a visual arts project, for example, you might have sketchbooks, you might have a hard copy book that you stick photographs into and annotate them. You might have group work that you've created together on a flip chart that you take a photo of and you put that in. There might be post-it notes. There might be clips of audio or film recordings. They might be having Facebook or WhatsApp chats that you take screenshots of. Obviously, your safeguarding around that is depending on you and your policies, but there's a real range of things that can go in there. So it's definitely not just about sitting down and writing in it. There's loads of creative ways that you can capture those reflections and the ongoing delivery of things. And it's about making it personal for that child and young person, for their voice to come through within that. So it is a national qualification on the regulated qualifications framework. It's accrediting their work. So particularly maybe at bronze, silver and gold, if you're working with slightly older young people who are thinking about their next steps, whether that's employment or college or university, there's something tangible there that they can talk through, they can put on their CV, but also they can talk through any interviews and really demonstrate what they've achieved through doing their Arts Award. And again, it is about developing those employability skills, because there's all the transferable skills that they will develop as part of doing Arts Award. It is accessible partly with the way that they can evidence in their arts logs and portfolios, and also there isn't a time limit on it. So there's kind of total qualification times that are an average amount of time it takes to do the award, but there isn't a time limit on it saying you have to deliver bronze within 6 months or anything like that. So if you have children and young people who might take a bit longer, that's absolutely fine. And again, as Bev talked about with arts activities in general, it's about building confidence in themselves and in the skills that they're developing. So there are some of the reasons that centres deliver Arts Award with their children and young people. There's lots of quotes on this page, so I will leave those up for a moment just so that you can have a look. I won't read all of them out, but they are obviously all positive, and I've been involved in Arts Awards since 2006 when I trained as an advisor, and then I became an Arts Award trainer in 2008, and I have been a moderator. I was a moderator for about 8 years. I sit on the support panel for Arts Award, so if you do the training, you're not alone at the end of it. There is free support through Arts Award to help you in your journey, and the work that I do with children and young people very often involves Arts Award as part of it, and particularly over the past 10 years or so, that's been with primarily with care experienced children and young people, teenage mums and neat young people. That's largely my area of delivery and experience, but it's definitely for all children and young people. So I'll just move on to the next slide. So Bev talked about Artsmark partners. So Arts Award has a couple of things too. There's Arts Award supporter, which are the arts and cultural organisations who sign up to say, we can help your children and young people to do their Arts Award. It will look different in different organisations depending on what they are and how they deliver and what sort of art forms they are. It won't always be free, but sometimes there will be things that are free. But it might be that if you're wanting to go on a visit to a theatre and you look up whether they're an Arts Award supporter, and they might be able to offer a backstage tour or a talk with one of the staff, or they might be able to do a workshop for you, or something that's additional to kind of what the public offer is. So that's Arts Award supporter. Arts Award partners with kind of national organisations. So these are some of them that they have ongoing at the moment. And they produce resources as well to help support you in delivery. So there'll be templates that are produced as part of it to help you deliver. So if you're involved in any kind of national initiatives, then it's worth looking if Arts Award are a partner with them. So all children and young people need a trained Arts Award advisor. So Discover and Explore is a half day, bronze and silver. They're all half days now, essentially, and they're online with like an online workshop type delivery. And then they have like a pre-module and a post-module that you just do in your own time to wrap all those things together. And then you will become an Arts Award advisor. So you'll need to do, it's Discover and Explore training, bronze and silver, and then gold is a separate piece of training. So that's the Arts Award website where you can go and find more information. And there's resources that are available for advisors. There's information about the cost of it. So there is like a moderation cost for Explore, bronze, silver and gold. And then you can like download posters and things to help you advertise it back in your setting. but I've obviously been doing it for quite a long time now, and I love it, and I see the difference that it makes to the children and young people who do it with us. And the celebration event is always fabulous, giving out certificates at the end and seeing how proud they are of the work they've done and what they've achieved, and achieving that certificate. So that's why I'm still involved in it. It works so well with Artsmark as well. And so, like Bev, I'm looking forward to hearing from Laurie in a minute about their school delivering both. Okay, I'm just going to stop sharing and I will bring us back, and then Laurie and Bev, if you want to come back on, and we will hand over to Laurie.
Hasn't unmuted. Thanks very much for that. That was really interesting. Thank you. Do you want me to start sharing now? Great, okay. I'm just going to start sharing my screen. Right, can everyone see that? Perfect, thanks very much. So I would just like to share with you today what it's like really to be a Artsmark school. We've just recently gained our Artsmark qualification, and we also do Arts Award as well within our school. And I know that having something like this as a school that has already been through the process is really useful. So I'm hoping that what I share with you today is really handy for you to be able to go through your own experience. So where our school stands as an academy, we sort of really hold the quality arts education in high regard, and we found that enrolling with Artsmark and Arts Award really beneficial, both as a support network and a tool for ensuring that our children were getting a broad and progressive arts curriculum. So in this presentation, I'm just going to take you through how Arts Award and Artsmark has helped us to support this and provide further opportunities for the children that are in our school. So after initially registering our school, and I know that we've just been through this with Bev in terms of what you need to do, you need to register and you'll need to go to an Artsmark Development Day, which I'd highly recommend. It's very useful in terms of letting you know what the journey ahead is going to be like and what you need to do. You will also then obviously need to fill out a statement of commitments, which is a really good tool really to have the sort of opportunity to sort of get down on paper where you are at the moment before your arts journey begins. So we found that the strength of Artsmark is that initial requirement to complete the statement of commitment. I think it helps you to look at your current provision and it helps you to pinpoint areas for improvement and development. So prior to doing this at our own school, we sort of felt that the arts curriculum was strong. However, as we went through the focus areas, it helped us to see areas that we needed to focus on. And in some subjects, such as music and drama, where we needed to provide more opportunities for our children and invest in some support and CPD. It also encouraged us to think of the arts in its entirety rather than just visual art, which I think is quite common in a lot of schools. I think a lot of schools do tend to think of arts as being just art rather than the arts. And I think that's a really strong area of Artsmark and Arts Award, as it really helps you to sort of highlight, not just to SLT, your staff members and the people that you're working with, but to the children as well, that the arts is a sort of umbrella term for lots of other types of art as well, and to sort of really focus on making sure that you're doing those in its entirety and you've got really good provision in all areas. So after we completed the statement of commitment, we were able to develop an action plan focusing on areas that we'd like to develop or strengthen. So the starting point for our school was we had a little look at how teachers, not just in the school, but in the trust that we work for, were feeling about the teaching of art, and that was whether or not it was the teaching of visual art or music and drama. And we did feel that there were some teachers that had fed back that they weren't as confident in the teaching in those areas, and that perhaps that the curriculum that we were providing at the time wasn't as progressive as we would have liked it to have been. So the first thing that we did was we had a curriculum redesign. So that just felt that we were then offering the children a much more sort of consolidated curriculum. Subject leaders ensured that each subject had a list of non-negotiables, which we call the 3 E's, which are entitlement, enrichment and elements, which ensured that the children received quality teaching, resources and experience to extend the children's learning beyond what was taught in school. And we also wanted to link it to future careers. So we facilitated this by providing opportunities to gain an arts award, performing festivals and be an art ambassador, all of the things that were key criteria asked for by Arts Award and Artsmark, and to look for further opportunities to collaborate with arts organisations. So as Bev spoke about before, when you're looking at doing your statement of commitment, it's important to look at to mark it against the 7 quality principles. So you're aiming to go for the 7 areas and make sure that what you're doing is linking to those things. I know she's already talked about that, so I won't talk about those in this part. But we were trying to ensure that we were doing those things and constantly checking back with the 7 quality principles, and we were doing it ourselves. So as a result of the revised curriculum, which we felt now was consistent with progressive skills based and taught with confidence, our children were shown to show that they were inspired and demonstrated this through their work performances and discussions, that they were progressing well and eager to learn more. Children receiving authentic experience has been one of the greatest benefits of undertaking Artsmark, and through the enrichment programme and careers curriculum that we have in school, we started collecting evidence for our statement of impact whilst on the Artmark journey. So the following slides that I'm going to show you are some examples of projects that we have worked on which have helped us to build our Artsmark portfolio. So at the very beginning of the Artsmark journey, the children in our school were invited to take part in the Transplant Games, where they took part in a week of activities to learn more about the World Transplant Games, transplantation and organ donation. So we teamed up with Northern Print, and it was initially sort of offered to us from Northern Print itself as a project that we would like to do. And we actually did this with Arts Award. So for a week, our Year 6 children after SATs, they completed this project, which was where they learned new skills in printmaking, and final artworks produced were exhibited around the region as part of the World Transplant Games. They worked with artists that visited school who were printmakers, and they exhibited their work to parents and to other teachers and children at the end of this as part of the Arts Award criteria. And they created a portfolio of work as well, which is the log that we were talking about before that Jane mentioned. So there we go, we've got some of the children there standing and doing some of the work and actually presenting it as well. We also took part in the Elephant Trail, which helps raise money towards St Oswald's Hospice. So you can see in that picture that we've got children across school designed different ideas for the elephant itself. And then to make sure we've got pupil voice and that children are being actually just participating in the final choice of the design, you've got Art Club and the Arts Council actually deciding what the winning designs were. And then in the next slide, you can see we've got children actually working on it as well in Art Club, and they're painting the elephant for the final exhibition. Another project that we did was with Northern Print and a lady called Natasha from Oxford University, who came in and taught the children how to use letterpress. So again, it was really important to us as a school, and that's another big criteria with Artsmark and Arts Award, is that the children are getting tangible sort of real life experiences, and they're actually using industry equipment. So you can see the children are working with traditional letterpress. And again, we like as a school to sort of try and link a lot of our other curriculum areas to the arts. So this was heavily linked in with work that they were doing in literacy, but it just helped them to extend that work a little bit further and be able to present it in a completely different way than they normally would have done. There's some more work that children have done where we collaborated with other schools within the trust. And we have something in our school where if children are working what we call in their element, which is children that are working beyond sort of what would be expected of them within the arts, we try and provide opportunities for those children to be able to go out and, you know, perhaps work in a secondary school, or perhaps have some, you know, sort of opportunities to work with secondary school teachers. And this is one of the projects where they went to North Shore, which is one of our trust secondary schools, and learned how to do batik. So they get to use some equipment that we might possibly not have in a primary school, which they absolutely loved, really enjoyed it, and produced some fantastic work. And the work itself was then exhibited in the Net College, which is one of our training facilities that we have within the trust. Again, we try and do lots and lots of community and local projects as well. So we're often looking to make sure that we're working with local artists, or whether that's in the sort of local Blakelaw area that we live in, or perhaps Newcastle based. It's really important that the children know that, you know, the arts is something that's attainable to them, but it's not something that's a distant thing that only happens in London. So as much as we try and sort of make sure that they're aware of world art and, you know, sort of art that, you know, that's all around the country, it's really important for them to know that it's something that they can also do and achieve, whether it's as a child or as an adult, or, you know, that there are job prospects as well for them to do. So in this particular project, we worked with local community artists, Nicola Lynch and Sally Southern, who came into school and worked with our Year 6 children to come up with some sculptural designs for a plaque that we had made at school. So all of the children came up with different ideas. We did postcards, and it became part of a community outdoor exhibition along with local residents, where the work was displayed over, I think it was over the course of a week. And then the final piece was put together by the artists, and they made a sculptural piece, which we now have displayed in our assembly hall. And there it is. This is another thing that we have done in school, again, to do with our local community. And I think that's another really sort of big part, if you can do that when you're doing Artsmark and Arts Award, is lots of community opportunities. We do a remembrance service every year, and the children come together and they make a sculptural piece that is in our school grounds. It's become one of the only recognised official memorials in the local area as well, so the children are really proud of that and have a lot of ownership over it. We became involved in Sky Arts Week, so we have a week where the children get the opportunity to do all kinds of different arts and really learn about all the different arts that are available to them. So this year we did a big thing with the English National Opera. We were part of the Big Draw and the Crafts Council, and we did some literacy work that was set by the Reading Agency, and children were taught how to use cameras for photography, which they really, really engage with. And now they are doing some Bob and Roberta Smith style slogans, which we then took into another project, which we were working on within school, coming up with some powerful slogans that we were going to use in a performance later on. Drama was a big thing in our school for us to work on, so we've been looking for lots and lots of opportunities for the children to get chance to perform or to film or to learn how to use cameras and to build their confidence. So after COVID was a big thing for us, which, you know, stopped some of our projects that we had ongoing. We've really tried to build that sort of community thing back up again, where we're getting people to come in and watch the children perform and building their confidence up to be able to work on stage. So that's some of the children there actually building props for our Christmas nativity. As a result of working on the Sky project that we had, we were invited by Sky Academy Studios to actually go down to Scotland and take the children to experience what it's like to actually work in a TV studio. So again, just building on their, you know, presentation skills. They learn how to storyboard, edit, work with the camera, experience what cutting edge technology might be like, interview people in a work situation, and actually create a report on influencer culture. So that's the children that had an absolutely fantastic day during this. I think it's really inspired a lot of our children to actually work in TV. We also worked with Tyneside Theatre, who came into school for a similar project. I think Year 6 were doing the SATs when the other project was going ahead, so we wanted to make sure that they didn't miss out. And we invited Tyneside Theatre to come into school to work with Year 6 on a project aimed at highlighting the need for recycling. So again, they're working there on using professional cameras, working with professional directors, learning how to storyboard and how you would write a script and actually perform it in front of the camera and edit it at the end. So another thing that they really enjoyed. We also worked with NetFest, is a project that is across our trust where we all come together and the children get the experience of performing as a school. There's usually 22 academies doing it at the same time, and this year we performed at the Barbican in York, and children actually made their own props, which we had printed at Northern Print, and t-shirts which they designed themselves and then actually displayed on the stage. And that's a little picture there of them working at Northern Print, so you can see them actually using professional equipment and seeing what it's like to be in a professional printing studio. That's really important part of Artsmark, is to make sure that you are developing relationships with different sort of cultural places that your children can go and visit, and you can be involved in different projects that they're doing. And that's children getting involved in choosing the winning designs that they went on to print afterwards. This is another project that we've just worked on. At the very end of when we were doing Artsmark, we sort of, part of our mission was to gain further cultural experiences for our children. So we submitted a proposal to the Forge to be considered for their Creative Schools programme, when they were looking for participants to take part in the project below. So this was developing an arts-based programme in response to an identified challenge. So we had to co-create a programme with an artist, share learning around creative producing and co-creation via film, and share final learning via CPD events. And what the project was, is it wanted us to identify something where there was a need within our school. In our school, we've got some areas where the children struggle with writing in certain situations. And we felt this was due to a lack of cultural experience. Often they're not sort of finding the vocabulary that you might need, just because they haven't possibly visited the places that we want them to write about, or they haven't experienced what we want them to write about. So we felt it was really important for them to go on a visit, or a few visits actually, to go and experience these cultural hotspots. So we identified children who were working in their element for art, pupil premium children who have limited cultural capital opportunities, or struggling writers or able writers with limited vocabulary in writing. And through the project, we commissioned street photographers and a poet to work with the children by visiting cultural hotspots in the Northeast. And we gave the children cameras so that they could take photographs of what they saw, and they were using all the different sensors when they were taking the photographs when they were out on the visits, which they then used to build their vocabulary back up when they got back to school. And we've got some pictures here of them working with the poet. We went to the Baltic, where they did the Bridges workshop and had a really big look at all of the different areas around the quayside. We visited the Angel of the North. So they got right underneath it and were taking photographs of the different textures and, sort of the smells they were taking in, and they were trying to get interesting angles so that they could write their poetry when they got back to school. We went to Beamish and did a similar thing. And there's some photographs of the children walking across the quayside. We then went on to do a visual literacy workshop back at school so that we could expand their existing vocabulary. And then we created some street poetry around that experience. And this is just a few of the children's poems that they came up with. So one side of the poem was about thinking about themselves from the landmark's point of view and what that might feel like. And then that resulted in a final poetry slam where the children got up in front of other children and visiting parents, and they stood up and actually recited their poem. It was in a competition style environment. And we had their photographs that were taken during the trips and the words that they had come up with made into we've had them made up into 6-foot posters that are displayed around the school as part of that experience. Just a little thing about Arts Award as well, just to say how Arts Award has played an integral part in supporting our Arts Market experience. I think it's very important, if you're doing Artsmark, the Arts Award is something that you run alongside it. I think although it's a separate organisation, its principles and criteria lend itself well to those wishing to gain an Artsmark status. I think it's very important. So to facilitate Arts Award in your school, you will need to ensure that you have at least one person who is a trained Arts Award advisor. And in our case, that's me. I would say that it does need to be at least one person. I can imagine that you could probably get more than one if you had someone who's more of an expert in drama, for example. I'm more the visual arts person, but I know that at one point our drama lead was looking into doing it as well. So I would suggest that if you've got somebody who's stronger in other areas of the arts, perhaps they also have trained to do it as well, so that they can run some clubs and opportunities to be able to allow your children to do things in other areas, you know, that maybe aren't your strength. Through Arts Award, we have done various projects. So I find it a really good tool for setting projects up. So the Transplant Games was one of them. I use it a lot of the time for art club. You know, we might have children in art club and they might want to do a particular project. So last year we did print. So we were looking at all the different printing techniques that you can do. We had people into school. We went out and visited printing institutions. We got the children involved in designing and making their own prints. And that was a really good tool for Arts Award for us to be able to just keep, you know, sort of keep in mind what we wanted the children to do and what we wanted them to achieve. And it's a really good platform at the end to be able to show their work off and evaluate what they've done, and invite parents in as well, which sort of also gives them a real sense of pride. So this is just a few photographs from some of the exhibitions that we've done and some of the children's portfolios, which they love. You know, it's a really nice thing for them to be able to keep as well at the end. That's just some of the parents giving feedback. That's another really lovely thing about Arts Award, is that when you have people into the exhibitions, you're actually asking for feedback, and the children get a real big kick out of that, you know, being able to get some live feedback, not just from a teacher, from people that are visiting, whether that is parents. You know, we've had local community members in, we've invited secondary school teachers in who've come and given further advice on how to, you know, so how they could improve it for next time, or you know, how they could sort of up level it and things like that. And I think just that confidence that they've got from that feedback has been really valuable. So at the end of the Artsmark assessment period, you are required to reflect on your journey by completing a statement of impact. I think we found this really, really useful, actually, because it shows you, by questioning the impact, authenticity and collaboration of the work that you've done, it's a really good tool for self-reflection, and it really highlights not just what you've done, what you've achieved, but where you still need to go. So in our case, even after gaining our Artsmark status, we are still working on things. It's never a closed journey, you know, it's never a journey that's finished. It's always ongoing. And I think it's given us a really good framework for our future action plan, which we're still working on. We know there are still areas for us as a school that we would like to get, you know, make even better, improve, that we would like to sort of gain further opportunities in. And I think having that feedback from Artsmark itself at the end is really, really useful for that. And I think even once you've achieved it, you know, it's good to sort of think ahead and think about what you're going to do next time to maybe get the next level up. So in our case, we have got silver, so we're aiming for gold. We would like to get gold the next time. So the next part of our action plan will highlight what we would like to do to get to gold, or even better, get to platinum. I think that's a really good way of making sure that you are constantly making sure that your arts provision is strong and progressive. So in terms of pupil feedback, I think that's really important. What do the children get out of it? Not just you as a school. I think we've talked a little bit about what we as practitioners get out of Artsmark, but it's obviously really important what the children get out of it. So I've included some of the things that I've got back from the children from doing Artsmark and Arts Award. I know that it's inspired them to work in the arts. Having the opportunity to go out and actually work with people who do art, you know, as a career, has been really valuable and inspirational. Visiting places that they've never been to before. It's given our children opportunities to experience something that they probably might not have even known existed or was a thing before. They've learned about things that they didn't think you could learn about in school. I've had children absolutely wowed by the fact that you can be a photographer who takes photographs underwater, which was the last visit that we went on. You know, I had children actually interviewing our photographer about how that's possible to do that as a job. Performing felt like the best day of their lives when they came off the stage at the Barbican. I had children almost crying about how fantastic that experience was. Loving having the opportunity to perform in front of family and friends. I think seeing children absolutely buzzing with pride at having that opportunity and feeling proud about what they've done is absolutely amazing. A lot of them are inspired to continue with Arts Award in secondary school. And I think that's very valuable, so that it's not just something that's got an end point. They can see it, they can see a future in it, they can see something that they want to progress further. And it has helped them to improve in other areas such as writing. So we do a lot of visual literacy in our arts programme, and a lot of children have come to me and said it's really helped them with their creative writing. Just having that sort of sense of creative vision has really helped them to think creatively. So that's helped them when they're writing stories, or where they're describing things, or whether it's just something that they're writing for information because they feel like they've got more information from having those cultural experiences. So I would absolutely, from a school's point of view, recommend that you do both Artsmark and Arts Award. I can't say that enough, actually. I think it's a very, very valuable thing for you to do as a school. That's the end of my presentation.
Thank you so much, Laurie. That was fabulous. I will bring us all back on screen there. I mean, you've just finished me off with that pupil feedback slide now. I don't know if I can talk properly. That was great to hear about. So really, this is an opportunity to open it up to all of us if we've got any questions or just reflections on what we've heard from each other that we'd like to share, or questions to ask if anyone does have anything. Yeah, Beth.
Just an observation. I would say for anybody who's thinking about Artsmark and is absolutely kind of gobsmacked by all of the stuff that Laurie has just spoken about in her school, Artsmark sometimes doesn't have to be kind of that in depth and that that sort of extensive. Some schools do a much smaller Artsmark journey and really kind of just focus on one thing. Whenever I hear about the work that Laurie's done, it takes my breath away, because I can see that they're looking at every opportunity for their young people and looking for so many different partners. And it was just in case anybody's feeling slightly overwhelmed at that thought, it can be a much smaller journey, and it could be, you choose the journey to suit the school. And I think, but if you have an appetite for it, like obviously Laurie has, then it's phenomenal what you can achieve.
Thank you, Bev. Yeah, maybe that links to the Arts Award side of things as well, that it's so impressive, everything that you're doing at the school. But yeah, likewise, I suppose for anyone thinking about Arts Award, it can be stuff that's happening within the curriculum. It can be the teachers delivering. It doesn't always have to be an additional project or working with artists, but it's brilliant if you can do that to really extend their experiences. And it just sounds like that you do that wonderfully, Laurie, at Hilton.
Thank you. Yeah, I would second that. It doesn't have to be. I'm constantly, it's like almost like an obsession, is constantly looking for different things for the children to do. But I completely and utterly understand that a lot of people, perhaps would be a little bit daunted by that, or just don't have, possibly think they don't have the funds. And that's another thing that I would just like to say is, if you look hard enough, a lot of the projects that we've done, yes, the travel has costed money, but actually the workshops themselves often have been free, and it's from looking for things or bidding for things, or kind of offering ourselves open to projects that other people are a little bit kind of wary of possibly. It's just about not being scared to jump in with both feet, really, and actually in terms of, I think a lot of schools do worry about costs and things like that, but you know, you can do things a lot in a lot cheaper way than you probably think that you actually can. And there are so many opportunities out there. And I would just say, in terms of trying to get those opportunities, just register with as many arts organisations that you can, and you'll be very surprised at what is offered to you.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Laurie. Is there anything else that's come up through this afternoon? Or are we happy to end it there?
I think I'm happy to end it there, because I think Laurie encapsulated wonderfully, you know, the kind of case study for what Artsmark and Arts Awards do. I think that was really fantastic to have that illustration, you know, and yeah, so if schools are interested in either of them, you know, do have a look at the website, or do get in touch with us individually and find out a little bit more. But that, yeah, fabulous. Yeah. I'm still just so amazed at what you've done, Laurie. So well done, you. Yeah, really great.
And so I just want to say, you know, thank you both for joining us this afternoon as part of the Culture Bridge North East kind of celebrations, really, of Arts Award and Artsmark. And thank you for your time and sharing your expertise with everyone.
Thank you very much. I would just like to finish as well on the fact that how helpful Culture Bridge has been to us as an organisation and a school. Actually, how supportive, like Bev and Sue and, you know, and other people that work there as well have been absolutely amazing in terms of, you know, coming back to us with advice and, you know, putting people forwards that possibly might want to work with us. So I would, you know, fully recommend that too. That's been really valuable to us as a school.
Thank you, Laurie. Okay.